What up, everybody? It's your boy Solo Fo, and I'm back with another episode of So What's the Issue? And today I'm going to be talking about whether the word female is disrespectful or not. Now, I'll say this first. I can't tell every single female how to feel about specific words. You know what? I'll say it like this. You can't tell anybody truly how to feel about everything that's said or everything. What I expect from people, matter of fact, let me just tell y'all. Let me start by telling y'all the story. So today I got approached by someone in my by on my one of my posts on my Facebook page. It was regarding a post that I made, and the post said basically, matter of fact, let me read it directly. Females, hold on. I need a female. All right, let me go to my post. All right, I need any female, please, to talk to about why men aren't gentlemen anymore. Please hit me up. So with that post, all I was doing was I was saying, hey, I need a female to text me. So basically, there's a girl that got on my post, and she responds to my post by saying, female and men in the same post is crazy and shows your bias already. Do better. So what I responded to this person, just to let you guys know, I responded with the face, that little looking up like, wait a minute, what? So you got what from what? So asking like, you got what from what I had said? I said, I think you should reread the post again, but this time read it much slower and without bias from yourself. So I was actually waiting for a response because I actually wanted to talk about this topic with this person because this is the second time in life that I've ever heard about it, but the first time that I've been confronted by somebody that I want to talk to about it, I guess you say. Um, so basically what I essentially did was I went to this person's inbox specifically. Me and this person have never talked before, never once in my life have we ever spoke. And the first thing that I said was, hey, I do a podcast, and basically it's to help people. So, that's what my whole platform is for helping people and helping just situations in the future. But one huge thing about the post that I had made was I was saying I want to speak to a female, not in regards of, I guess the word female over the past couple of years has been considered a degrading term now. It's been whatever. But when I said men, I was more so speaking to the basically age range that the people that I'm talking about are in. Because I'm not talking about little kids. First, I was talking about gender. I need a female gendered person to talk about this post because I want to talk about that post specifically because I've seen a lot of females, complaining, going up and down the timeline on my timeline, talking about why aren't men anymore and why aren't men gentlemen or why don't they, do acts of kindness anymore. And basically, about a year or two ago, there was a post that went viral. A girl had made fun of a guy basically for helping her clean out her car. Now I don't know if this story is true or not. It really don't matter. I'm commenting on how many people thought the story was funny. So basically the guy basically tried to get the girl's number. The girl gave him a fake number. She drove off, put the situation on Facebook, but she called the guy a sheep. Oh, what is going on with my computer? Hold on, guys. I'm having a technical issue. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do this subject on my phone because my computer's been acting a little crazy. Unless no, never mind. It went straight back to normal. All right, but basically, where was I at? I don't remember where I was at. But basically, how this story kind of goes is, the way that I was raised. Hold on, guys. My computer's doing a lot of things right now. But the way that I was raised, the word female only was one thing. About 5 years ago, was the first time that I heard anybody say the word female was a degrading word when you say it. Because I was saying something to someone specifically, and this person responded to me and was like, hey, you don't call us females anymore. we're queens. You call us queens. And I was like, I don't use the word queen. I'm not the person that uses that word. And now even more females have came out and said that they don't like being called queen because they feel like it's cheesy, it's lame, it's a lot of different things. I've never used this word, but females is usually my word. So when I say the word females, I'm not it has nothing to do with, a belittling. And that's one thing that I wish that I could, I tried to ask this girl to do a live with me so we could actually talk, actually have rapport, and she could actually see where I'm coming from. I think that some people, whenever they see things that they don't like, they go out their way to try to make the shoe fit and basically push their belief system on other people. And my thing about it is, I personally don't use the word female as a belittling tool because I was not raised in an era where the word female came with any type of negative condensation to it. Like whenever I was younger, people would be like, nah, you can't put your hands on no females. Like, no, females was never used in a way that it sounded degrading to my generation and the people around. Now, things happen over time. Now, if anybody know about the LGBTQIA community, well, plus community, basically there's a lot of things that are turnoffs to them now because now we have people that don't actually like people labeling their children as a he or she. I didn't come up in that age group that believed in anything like that, so it's not disrespectful. So for a person to be mad at another person for using things or using vocabulary that they always used before is like basically saying that one religion is wrong compared to the other religion. And it's like, no matter how you were raised, you should never ever go up to the next person and tell them that their belief system is wrong. What you should do is maybe try to sway them to see your light, but you should never tell anybody they're wrong because what their belief system is true to them and how they were raised. So with that being said, whenever it comes to the topic of saying different things like he or she or females or this, I'm a person that if I walk up on someone that is transgendered, I am not going to call them he just to be disrespectful. I'm not going to say he, his. I'm not going to say things that I can tell that person is clearly trying not to be because that is a level of respect that I have within myself to want to do. The same thing with ladies. I don't have anything wrong or any type of issue with females. If a specific female told me they don't want to be identified as female, I will respect that person for not calling them by the word female. But that is only under the guys basically that they specifically had a sit down conversation with me and said it makes them feel uncomfortable. I won't intentionally make that person feel uncomfortable, but am I going to change my own belief system? No, because the word female, whenever I use the word female, has never actually been in a negative orientation. So basically when you take things that you can find issue with, we can find issue in a lot of things and then push that belief system onto people. But some people aren't there and some people don't feel the same way that you feel. Now, if we're talking about the word nigga or if we're talking about the word retard, if we're talking about something that basically shuns a specific group and we can tell that it's a person of not like you see two homosexual individuals, they can call each other bitch, or you can see females can call each other bitch all day, bitch this, bitch that, hey bitch that. You can see females doing that with each other all day. But if a man does it, it's in a different light. They're gonna look at it and be like, oh, this man is being derogatory towards me. And it's like if a person is specifically using a word that we know has a negative orientation behind it, towards somebody, that is a completely different thing than someone saying something that you can make an issue with. Because he, she, them, like them and they, these new ways that we try to phrase things, maybe that's something that will come in time for the next generation, and maybe the next generation will care a whole lot more about that topic than the past generation. And I don't mean that to be insensitive to the people that actually believe in these beliefs, but certain things are here and certain things are there. Like certain things are like, okay, you got a point as far as it pertains to yourself. But is a person, when they said it, intentionally trying to be derogatory when they said it? Like if I said, she's a female, she can't do that, and it's a task that this female specifically felt like she could do, and she doesn't really feel like, she doesn't understand where her being a woman comes into play, as far as, like, let's just say, oh, she's a female, she can't drive a car. That's a whole lot different, because I'm intentionally degrading this woman in the situation that I'm putting out to the world. So basically, one of the things that this girl did was she sent me a TikTok video. And I'm not one for completely being woke with a lot of things, because a lot of things, it doesn't tackle issues. And I'm not saying that being woke isn't a good thing, but I feel like a lot of woke trends aren't actually the issues that can be handled to make real change. Not as far as word to word, but I'm talking about as far as living. Like people like to say, we're in a system. Okay, so if you believe we're in a system, how do we get out that system? That is the type of thing that I mean. Like saying that aliens exist, saying that these things exist. It's like, okay, like even if it is true, how does that help anybody's situation? Like how does that help the overall masses go from here being in a compromised situation to being elevated into another situation? So I will say I did listen to the video. And when I listened to the video had a very um textbook reasoning for why the word female is derogatory. But the problem with the textbook version, if I weigh one Bible against another Bible, which it doesn't matter. Let's just say two Bibles. One is the Quran and one is the actual Bible. And I don't mean actual in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying the actual Bible because I keep saying Bible. But let's just say I take both Bibles. I take the cover off of them. Basically, when you read these passages, you determine how you feel about each one, how each one resonates within yourself. You cannot go to the next person and say, hey, this book is wrong. You cannot go to the next book and say that person's wrong. Even though both of them came out of a textbook, you cannot refer to a textbook to specifically say what a real life situational feel for a situation is. Because so basically what it was saying was basically female comes from a ownership word, basically. And I'll try to post the link inside the comment section so anybody can see it. But basically it was a textbook definition for why. Now understand this. It was for why the word female is misogynistic. Now, if you go and read that, it's law. It's the only thing that it says. It's the only thing that it has to argue against each other. But what about real life feel? Because if I said that's a heavy box right there and I don't want that female over there to lift it, would you have the same feeling as me saying, hey, that's a female, she can't drive a car? It's what type of way is the word female being used? And the way that I used it was in a gender situation. I wanted to talk to a female about why men aren't gentlemen anymore. But the reason why I said female is because I wanted the gender. I didn't want any random man to talk about the subject. The subject, I wanted to talk to a female because these situations like this are a lot better when they're discussed with a person of the opposite sex. So basically, both sexes can get off how they feel about the subject, because a female is going to bring up things that the male eye does not understand. Like, not even to understand, but may not see, may not get to see on a regular. So that's the reason why when y'all see me do my lives, because especially when I'm talking about parenthood, I want to be able to talk to females and get their representation off, so we can have a good rapport and a good back and forth. But you see, I'm only using the word female as a describing factor, and not as a identifying factor, as in, like, I'm saying, oh, females need to stay in the kitchen, or females need to, it's not that type of thing. So if you walk around and you're always on alert, because these type of videos like the one that I saw, if you're somebody that watches that type of content, I'm not saying that I have a problem with that, but if you're somebody that watches that type of content, you're going to be a lot more prone to being sensitive about that topic, because your opinion is highly elevated, because you feel like you got a good fight against something. Just like when black men or black women walk around and say each group is the most criticized group in the entire world, when it's like, okay, so why wouldn't we come together and just say black people? But see, black women feel like they are more criticized than black men. And then on the other hand, black men feel like they're more criticized than black men. So these things, like, if you go around and you look at specific things, because if you are a woman or you are a man, if you see niggas ain't shit, you're gonna be like, oh, why does every time I get on the internet, I see niggas ain't shit? Why is everybody so against a black man? Or if you're a woman and you see a black man, or whatever, whoever posting, I didn't mean to say black man in that scenario, but if you're a black woman and you see somebody say something specifically about black women, you're gonna remember all the times that somebody said something negative about black women. You're not going to remember all the times that somebody said something negative about the opposite thing. When's the last time you actually took note in your mind about what somebody said about white men or white women, besides the jokes that we actually give out? How criticized is white women? How criticized is Asian people? Do you pay attention to that? And I'm not saying that to say that anybody is wrong as far as how they personally feel, but basically, when a person is looking at the word female to find issue with a man using the word female. Now, I'll say this. There was a couple of women that got on that post and also commented on that same exact post. None of those women said anything about feeling a type of way about being called a female, because the whole point was to find a female to identify their side of the issues that were being talked about. But see, when I talked to this person, I was like, hey, let's go and have an actual conversation about it. The person was like, hey, fuck that. Basically, I don't want to really misquote the situation. And I really don't want to put out nobody's, Facebook information. I wish I could like turn it around and show y'all the back and forth without actually showing the name of the person that I was having the conversation with. But basically what they said was they don't know what basically having a conversation with me about this specific topic basically would gain them out of the situation. And what I responded to them, it's not about what you gain from the situation. It's just coming together, having a nice conversation, your side, my side, and then let's see if we can understand each other and show the world that basically you don't have to have these explosive conversations for people to be able to get along. Because look at how bad we have gotten. If people come together with different opinions, it's either fuck you at the end of the conversation or you ain't shit at the end of the conversation. And it's like, damn, What mutual understanding? What did you take away from it? What can I take about from it? What can we learn from the future? This person was unwilling to do that, and I really wish that they had, because I would love to talk to a female, like I said, about their perspective on this topic, so we can basically have a back and forth. Because as y'all sit here and watch me now, I'm using the word female, and I don't have the ability to hear exactly what a person has to say. Just a couple, words get lost over text because of text tone. Somebody might say one thing and you might feel like they saying it a type of way because, it's text tone. It's about how you're reading it, how you're perceiving that the words that you're reading are basically meant to be said. So basically, I would have loved to be able to actually publicly talk about this, because like I said, I've had this situation twice in the past 5 years. So I don't think it's not saying I don't think it's a huge issue. I'm not saying that if you feel like that you want to be represented as a person that is a woman or whatever, that is perfectly fine with me. If you feel like you want to be identified that way, when I talk to you, I will identify you specifically as a woman and not a female. But when it comes to me just having my regular everyday conversation, I will never go and change my words based off of another person's belief. Just the same way a person that believes in one religion can't tell another person from another religion about perspective, because it's all about their perspective. Like I said, there's one thing when it comes to true disrespect. If a person's calling somebody a nigger and they know exactly what they're doing, or if somebody's calling somebody a bitch and they're a man saying it to a woman, or anything that basically that we know for sure is a complete red flag for saying, then okay, that's one thing. But the word female, for me, like I said, my generation didn't grow up off of that. These are new things that, like I said, twice in the past 5 years, and that means it's not really a crazy conversation about it. The only people that are having a regular everyday conversation about it are people that are putting it inside the algorithm. The more you look up or say anything about the word female being degrading, your internet, your algorithm is going to make sure it reappears, because if you comment on it, if you like the video or anything like that, it's going to take the matching words and it's going to put it in front of you constantly. And basically you're going to think that, oh my God, the world is just so disrespectful. They don't understand. And it's like, no, people are going to say, no, my bad. I'm sorry, y'all. Lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. But basically, when you got this thing in front of you so much, you're going to look at it a type of way, because that's what all you see on your internet is, because your internet is just going to keep putting it in front of you. So when other people aren't talking about this conversation as much as you see it, it's not as big of an issue. Now, if I had people that came to me and said basically female is a new bitch, I can't say that I'm going to change my word play, because it's never been used that way for me. But let me ask any female, basically, when they say male, why isn't it a big reverse situation? Basically, why isn't it a bunch of men or women, basically, whenever they say the word male or whatever, why don't men come out and be like, well, we don't appreciate being called the word male? Like, why isn't that a thing? Because I like I said, in the past 2 years now, I know it's a thing bigger than just me having the conversation twice, because I know it exists. I'm not going to take away from the fact that I know the conversation exists. But in the past 5 years, I've heard it 2 times. I have never once seen anybody on the female side say the male word and then have bite back from men basically saying, we don't like being called male. Or is that just one of those situations where basically you will never actually see it, because it's either people don't care about it, or I don't know. Like, I really don't know why it's not being talked about, because I don't think it's a thing. I don't think that if a female was to use the word male, that men would come out in abundance or even care to like or talk about a post enough to make it socially a thing to say, hey man, we don't like being called males. And I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of stuff too, like right now, and then people will agree with me, like there's a big thing about who's gay, who's not gay on Facebook right now. And if a man came out and said, don't call me no male, I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of them things that get turned into a post like, hey, these men are walking around talking about they don't want to be called male. And I'm just gonna assume that that's gonna be one of them things where people would say, hey, y'all must be gay since y'all don't want to be called male. Not to say anything negative or derogatory towards people of the gay faction or anything like that. It's just me saying, like, why don't we see the reverse conversation? And I'm not saying because you don't see the reverse conversation makes anything right or wrong, but I'm not saying it's a created conversation, but it's something new that you can't expect every single person to gravitate towards just because it's a conversation. Like, how many people right now are identifying their kids as they and them rather than he or she? And then it's like, for our generation, I do know people that have moved towards the belief system of calling their kids them and they rather than he and she. But for the majority of my generation, I don't know anybody that's currently saying the words them and they around me. And whenever they teach their kids, because they already aren't having an issue with it, when they teach their kids are going to learn under the he and she system. It's going to take for that next generation to align with the new curve of basically the them and they system for it to catch on and people to dismiss the word female. But I want to ask ladies, is female a word that y'all won't remove from the dictionary? And I don't mean that in a rhetorical term. I really want to know if it really means that much as far as being degrading or disrespectful. Is it a term that y'all want to move to be completely wiped from the dictionary altogether? Or is that putting too much gas on it? Because I don't understand personally where the conversation goes outside of the trying to check somebody in the moment. But if a person's not saying anything, and then the post, it was about why men aren't being gentlemen anymore. And if anybody wants to know what I said about that topic, I said it earlier in this video, and I also had an extended version in another video, so go check that out. Plug my own video, of course. But yeah, I wish I had a partner, such as a person that is offended by this word, to actually sit down and talk to about the situation, because I would love to see how they feel about some of the talking points that I had, instead of just saying like, hey, you're not worth my time. Because it's like, hey, I mean, if I wasn't worth your time, then why wouldn't you just unfriend me and move on with your day? Which I'm not saying because that's what I want people to do. I am here because I want to attack issues within the community. So if you feel like you want to approach me about a scenario or a situation, or even if you want me to go do a topic solo, I'm willing to go do a topic solo. But I would way more prefer when people come at me with issues or anything like that, or if you felt like what I was doing was wrong, why not sit down and be willing to have a conversation? Because then it makes it seem like you're closed-minded. Because you took the time out of your day to approach me about something, not the other way around. I would see why you would say you don't have the time in your day to conversate with me if I came at you about a specific post that regarded the word female that I dropped my opinion on. I would understand. You would be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to friend you. I don't have time for you today. But you obviously came and said something to me, so you had enough time to drop. And this ain't dissing this person. I just wish that we would be able to have gotten online and then basically her say her point and basically me be able to say my point and then actually talk about the scenario that I presented so she could see why I feel the way that I feel, and she doesn't even know which way I feel about it, because maybe I would have went in and said guys are jerks because of X, Y, and Z, but I didn't say that. I mean, I get that, but she doesn't even know the reason why I said it. I could have literally said it that way, but she wouldn't have never known because we only had a couple minute conversation over some text messages. So I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that she's wrong. But the thing is, you can't always press your belief system, because I believe this is a belief system thing, on other people. That's not always an answer to just force your belief system or the way that you think into somebody else's head. But, hopefully somebody sees this video and wants to have a conversation about it. But until the next time, this has been Solo Foe. If y'all want to see an extended video, I got more to say, but I don't want to get too crazy with the time. But, I appreciate y'all for watching. I'm going to drop that link in the bio for the other video that she was talking about. But thank y'all for watching.